Report in the New York Times says more than 200 Homeland Security officers could arrive in Chicago next month.
WGN's Angelica Sanchez reports city leaders remain in the dark on any possible plans.
Good evening. Well, the New York Times is reporting federal agents could arrive to Chicago as soon as September 2nd for 30 days of operations in the metropolitan area. City leaders say that there's been no official word from the federal government on plans for the city.
Unless there's a warrant, these federal agents do not have the right and the authority to bolt guard their way through our institutions.
Chicago will enter Labor Day weekend unsure of what September will bring.
We do not interfere with the work that they're doing, but we will not engage in immigration enforcement in any way assisting with federal agents.
City leader.
How is that any different than what they already been doing? One of the reasons why the Trump administration is invading Chicago is they never played well with the federal government. The first thing that Trump asked them to do, and he didn't demand it, he just asked them. The first thing that Trump asked them to do when he first came into office is he asked them and he said, hey, listen, we would like to work with y'all. And he extended an invite to all liberal cities and all the sanctuary cities that have been protecting migrants. And he didn't necessarily hold them accountable for what they did. But what he did was he made sure that he extended an olive branch. And he said, what we would like for y'all to do is to work with ICE and Homeland Security to, and this is the only requirement, and I've been following this since the beginning. The only requirement was for them to make sure that when they arrested an illegal migrant, I'm going to say it again, when they arrested an illegal migrant for doing something that they wasn't supposed to do, then call them so that they can actually have them deported. Now, I don't know anybody that would say that that's unreasonable. You're here illegally, you're committing crimes, you should be deported. You already crossed over illegally. Now you committed a crime, you should be deported. That's all that Trump required for them to do. But they stood 10 toes down and they said, nah, we're not going to work with you. We ain't going to call you. We ain't going to cooperate. And Trump said, okay, well, I'm going to get him anyway. I just wanted to extend an olive branch. Keisha says, wonder if AD is live streaming on Monday, giving that labor. Yeah, girl, Keisha, I don't miss. I don't care if it's Labor Day. I don't care if it's Christmas. I don't care if it's New Year's. I don't care what it is. I always live stream. I don't miss, Keisha. Labor Day ain't going to affect me. Yes, I will be live streaming on Labor Day. 100% I'm going to be live streaming on Labor Day. So don't worry about it. That's just me. That's what I do. But that's the only thing that Trump ever did. Now they're saying, well, if the National Guard doesn't come in, if they come in, then we're not going to help them. We're not going to assist them. Cool. That's cool. We know that y'all incompetent. Y'all can't save the people that's in y'all own city. There's crime running rampant. It doesn't even really matter.
Once again stating there's been no communication from the White House about a possible increase in federal agents next month or if there will be a mobilization of the National Guard. Alderman Nick Sposato, a supporter of President Trump, says he would rather see federal funding for CPD.
So whatever it's going to cost them to send the National Guard here, just give us the money strictly for hiring more police.
No. And this is the big deal. All right. This is all it's coming down to. The Chicago Police Department, the mayor, Illinois governor, they're not interested in actually fixing crime. The only thing that they are asking for, they saying, don't send a National Guard, give us some more money. That's what it's coming down to. Don't send a National Guard, give us some more money. It's all about money. They're monetizing crime in Chicago. They're monetizing crime in Chicago. They have been the worst stewards. I think that Chicago has been a worse steward than any other city when it comes to managing resources. Honest to God, there is no city that I can think of within the past 4 to 5 years that has been as bad as Chicago in managing their resources. Not one. Not one. Chicago has spent more money on illegal migrants that they didn't have than any other city. Chicago has fumbled the bag when it came to managing the money and the resources and charging more in property tax. How do you have some of the highest property taxes in the country and you don't know what to do with the money? And y'all still stealing people's properties out there. No. As far as managing money, Chicago, because Chicago brings in more money than Oakland. Oakland is bad, but Chicago is 10 times worse because Chicago brings in way more resources and they have more people. And they have more people. Anton, have they announced they will be in the shop before Labor Day? They're supposedly coming next week. So that's the play. They're supposed to be coming next week. They're supposed to be coming next week. And yes, they don't own their own streets. They sold their own streets. And Chicago have 50 aldermen. Y'all should have 10 city council people / aldermen. The first thing that I would do is I would try to figure out how I can get rid of 40 aldermen in Chicago. That's the first thing that I would do. Then I would redivert all of those funds into public safety. The first thing that I would do is I would try to figure out, and I don't know how you do it. Yeah, this dude looking real raggedy. His house is raggedy. The papers in the background is raggedy. His collars is raggedy. He hasn't ironed his shirt. He doesn't have on an undershirt. Probably didn't brush his teeth, and he need a couple of cheeseburgers, like they said inside of the chat. That's a fact. The first thing that I would do is I would get rid of 40 aldermen, and I would reallocate those funds over to the police department into public safety. That's the first thing I would do in Chicago. You don't need 50 aldermen. You do not need 50 aldermen. I think Chicago is worse than LA when it comes to managing finances. LA is bad. It's very bad. You know what makes these cities so bad? It's not that Oakland is not going to probably have to file for bankruptcy first. Chicago may have to file for bankruptcy first. What makes them very bad is that they have so many resources and it's so badly managed. It's so badly managed. So badly managed. Yeah, this dude is looking real raggedy.
All it can be used for.
This evening, the New York Times says they have obtained documents saying the Trump administration plans to send more than 200 Homeland Security officers to Naval Station Great Lakes in Lake County for 30 days of operations in the Chicago metropolitan area. They are requesting space for 250 personnel and parking for 140 vehicles. Among their requests, storage space for medical supplies, as well as weapons like rubber bullets and tear gas.
The planning is still being
You
discussed.
said is LA bad? You said is LA bad with how they manage their resources? Power Ranger? Man, let me show you something. Budget. Is LA bad? Los Angeles city budget is facing significant challenges with a projected $1 billion budget deficit. 1 billion, not million, billion budget deficit for 25-26, requiring tough decisions to balance the budget. The budget includes cuts to some services, but aims to preserve jobs, restore that they don't already have. They had to cut back this year because they was in a budget deficit this year. This year. Now, this is the big difference. Check it out. 2023-24 was $12.8 billion budget, including a $242 million. Oh, hold on. Wait. Let me see this. Deficit 2024. That's 25. They looking to find savings between $500 and $900 million in structural expenses in order to fix their budget deficit. This is so bad. This is so bad. And California ain't no better. The state of California face a significant budget deficit for the 24-25 fiscal year, with the initial projections estimated a $68 billion problem. The mayor, or I'm sorry, the governor did some creative financing and he revised it down to 44. Now, I don't know how they was able to find all of that money, $23 billion, to revise it down to an only $45 billion budget deficit. And then they were saying that it was reduced down to $27 billion budget deficit. This is bad, bro. California can't afford to bail out LA's $1 billion budget deficit. That's crazy. And at the time, they estimated it would be $600 million. Now it's going to be $1 billion. The worst part about this whole conversation is that it's not going away. It's going to be exponentially worse every single year. So the same way that Chicago's budget deficit is continuously getting worse every single year is the same way that Los Angeles's budget deficit is going to get worse every single year. That's why they begging Trump for money. And they saying, hey, send us $800 million. Don't bring your troops. Just send us $800 million. It's bad. It's all bad, bro.
Border czar Tom Homan insisting an immigration crackdown is coming.
We're not going to tell you how many resources we're going to send to the city. We don't want the bad guy to know what we're sending. It'll be a large contingent.
During Thursday's CPS meeting, interim CEO Dr. Macklin King says a letter has been sent to CPS families in response.
The best and safest place for our children is still at school. CPS has strong protocols in place to protect our students and staff. These protocols.
Remember, I've been telling y'all all these weeks that the Chicago Public Schools is also, in addition to Chicago facing a $1.2 to $1.6 billion budget deficit, is also facing $750 million budget deficit for the upcoming year. So now the kids ain't got nowhere to go to school. They got to cut all of the resources. They laying off teachers. They laying off janitors. They having larger class sizes. And remember that they were still funding the migrant crisis. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Laws apply to interactions with all federal representatives, including federal immigration agents and National Guard. Except in the rarest of circumstances, CPS will not share student information with any federal agent, and no federal agent will be allowed access to our schools.
While the uncertainty raises concerns,
it's going to be wholesome, fun for the whole family, so bring everybody out.
Organizers for Pilsen's annual Mexican Independence Day Parade say the event will go on as scheduled on September 6th.
We are going to have volunteers throughout the parade route to help secure.
Good. We can get some ICE agents out there to make sure that they asking for IDs and vetting for everybody that actually gets to the. I guarantee you that this Mexican Day event is going to be absolutely positively dead. Absolutely positively dead. Let me pivot over for a second. Let me see if I can switch this. Give me a second.
Tom Homan joining us now. And Tom, remarkable success you've got here. But my question is, where do you go next?
What was racist? That they're going to have ICE and immigration officials hanging out there? How was that racist? How's that racist? What, you don't think that I want them to arrest all of these people that are here illegally? Listen, if you ain't got nothing wrong and if you're legally inside of the United States of America, then you don't have nothing to worry about. If you are, it's the same thing for criminals. If you got your license and you ain't got no warrants or none of this stuff, then you don't have nothing to worry about. What are you talking about? How is it racist for you to be able to check to make sure that people are in the country legally? That's not racist. That's making sure that we have strong borders and making sure that people are made examples of when they are not supposed to be here, they got to go. Oh, you bother that? I agree with most of what you say, but that's over the line. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that, Cupcake. Was that one over the line? Oh, so it wasn't over the line when I was talking about mutes yesterday, huh? And it wasn't over the line when I hold white people accountable and I call them white apologists. It's not over the line when I hold black people accountable that's stealing from the community. None of that is over the line. But if I say, hey, make sure that you card people that's going to the Mexican situation because we want to make sure that the people that are participating are actually supposed to be in America, that one is over the line. Okay, all right, well, listen. I'm trying to figure out where y'all boundaries are so we can stay within those boundaries. That's all I'm saying. Just want to make sure I'm within the boundaries.
Next, when will the crackdown in Chicago and other cities begin?
Well, first of all, one mistake on your chart there. Out of the 300,000 children, I looked at the numbers just yesterday. We've located over 23,000 of them. So 23,000 locations of the 300,000. What President Trump's committed, we're not.
They then found 23,000 children that was basically lost. The Biden administration had no clue where they were, maybe trafficked, who knows, but they found at least 23,000 children that your former president refused. Because I see how y'all don't care about the kids. Y'all don't care about the kids. Y'all don't care nothing about the kids.
We'll stop till we find every one of them, or at least run every lead down on those 300,000 children. That's a big plus for the administration, because the last administration wasn't even looking for them. So, but as far as with Chicago is coming along with every other sanctuary city. President Trump is committed that we're going to focus and prioritize sanctuary cities, because that is where the problem is. We know for a fact they're releasing public safety threats to the streets every day rather than handing them over to ICE so we can deport them.
Well, and you're right, the 23,000 plus children. By the way, I was just pointing out, Tom, that the 14 children rescued were just in that pot farm that Democrats just piled on, attacking and saying that it was outrageous. But yet, look at the rescues that happened. The larger mission continues in cities like Chicago. But yet, Democrats continue to go after this removal of violent, illegal criminal aliens. So when you get pushback as you head into Chicago from people like Mayor Johnson, what's your message to the mayor?
Get out of the way, because we're going to do it. Look, right after the election, when President Trump took the White House, the first operation that I was involved with was Chicago. Brandon Johnson says I wasn't welcome in Chicago. Well, the very next day I was in Chicago along with the task force. And just the day one, Griff, the first day in Chicago, we took 9 child predators off the street. Child sex predators off the street. We arrested numerous members of Tren de Agua and MS-13. We arrested 2 illegal aliens that were convicted of murder. And we took numerous guns off the street, pistols that had the switch. That made those pistols fully automatic. That is day one in Chicago. And that's just a chip off the iceberg. So there's a lot more to do. President Trump's committed to making Chicago great again, making it safe again, since they failed to do so.
But Mayor Johnson is simply saying that you don't care about solving an actual problem. Listen here.
Care about solutions to gun violence or homelessness or immigration. They just don't want to see it. They don't want our communities to be safer for all of us. They just want to play on people's fears.
Your reaction, Tom?
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like I just said, we took guns off the street that were fully automatic in the city of Chicago. That's a solution. We took child sexual predators, people who committed sexual crimes against children, off the streets of Chicago. That's a solution. Taking public safety threats off the streets of Chicago makes Chicago safer. If he had 1 ounce of integrity, he would thank President Trump for making Chicago safer every day. Every day, ICE has taken thousands of criminals off the street of this country, including Chicago. We have a big operation up there that's continuing, and it's about to get a lot bigger. You would think he'd welcome the assistance. His number one responsibility is the safety and security of that city. If he's not going to do it, President Trump is going to do it. I would think he'd be shoulder to shoulder with us, but it's disgusting that he's not. But we're going to be there anyway. So if you don't want to help, get out of the way. We'll do it.
Tom, I want to ask you about a significant arrest, and that is a Mexican illegal alien, criminal record. He was deported 3 times, 3 convictions for sex offenses involving a child under 14, sexual battery, illegal possession of a firearm, and, of course, DUI in robbery. Tell me about what happened here.
Well,
this nigga's been deported 3 times. He only got 1 eye. Deported in 96, 2003, and 2012. Sex offenses involving a child under 14. This is his convictions. How is this nigga even outside? Sexual battery, illegal possession of a firearm, driving under the influence. He got a DUI too? Robbery. I hate this country, bro, sometimes. And these liberals and these Democrats that occupy it. We so lenient. We're so lenient. Oh, man, anybody can do anything that they want to do. And we protect the most criminal amongst us, and we look out for the criminals, and we don't care nothing about the people that's being offended. Oh, he don't even look like a reasonable. He don't even look like a nice person at all. He don't look like a cool person, bro.
Tell me about what happened here.
Well, look, this is just the repeat story of why we need a secure border, Griff. I mean, all these re-entries, and under the Biden administration, we had 10.5 million illegal aliens, coming to our border, a vast majority released. That is why it's so important what President Trump has done. In the last almost 4 months, no illegal aliens been released on the border. We have sent a message to the entire world. There is no catch and release in the United States anymore. The reason we have the most secure border in the history of this nation is because of the work of the men and women in the Border Patrol securing that border.
Yep.
President Trump's executive orders on remain in Mexico, ending catch and release, the third safe country agreements.
Yep.
But a big part of that success on the border is because we're showing the world there's consequences. If you're in the country illegally, you committed a crime, you're a public safety threat, we're going to find you, we're going to deport you. That message around the world helps give us the most secure border in this history.
Yeah, I just think that y'all really need to band together and just get Chicago together by getting these politicians up out of there. If I was in Chicago, I would be all over the fucking. I would be all over those politicians, bro.